Boys, we do have some breaking news here.
Yes, Declan.
According to team reporters at TCO, Stefon Diggs is at practice today, and he was at part of morning walkthrough, according to Courtney Cronin. So Stefon Diggs, at the very least, is back in the building at Egan.
So that's good news, but it's still troubling that he just disappeared for 2 days, that he had the ability to just not show up for the past 2 days, because it's going to leave a lot of people in that locker room wondering, what does he want? Does he want to be a part of this? Does he want to be a reason why they could potentially go from 2-2 to 3-2 and then 4-2 and try and right this ship that seems to be sinking? Or does he want to be in Washington, as his brother alluded to this offseason? Does he want to be somewhere else? Does he just not want to be with Kirk Cousins anymore? Those are the questions I think that are still worth asking, despite the fact that he showed up for walkthrough today.
Well, two things strike me off this immediately. One is, and this is not completely surprising, he does not want to forfeit a game check, because obviously if you miss the Thursday practice, and now the two most important days of practice for a Sunday game are Wednesday, Thursday, there's a very good chance that you're not going to play on Sunday. And I would take it that if you basically just disappeared, the team could come back and to Stefon's agent and say, well, he was insubordinate, so we're not going to pay him for this game. By being back today, he'll almost certainly play on Sunday and get paid. But the other thing is, if this is something else, let's just say, and I don't believe it to be, but let's just say it's something else. Keep in mind, a week ago, Wednesday, when Diggs ordinarily talks, he didn't talk. After Sunday's game, he left the Soldier Field visitors' locker room. He didn't talk. He obviously was not around on Wednesday to talk. So if this is something else, or he wants to present this in a different light, Stefon Diggs needs to talk right now and say, here's what's up. And even if it's a mild gripe with something, or he's having some problems adjusting, if he basically blows off reporters again today, and my guess is that the Vikings themselves will try and dance around this.
Sure.
All of us, Danny, are going to be left with some, as you said, some very compelling questions that are going to lead us down the path that things are or remain, I think, fair to say, off the rails here until somebody tells us different. But this is a really bad look. And again, it's 5 weeks into a season in which there were very fairly and should be high expectations.
Well, and it's unfair to his teammates. It's unfair to that locker room, because, Judd, we are going to have those questions. I think we're appropriate in having those questions. I don't think that that's an issue. But if Stefon Diggs isn't going to be the one there to answer them, it means that other people are going to have to. It means that Kirk Cousins is going to get the questions about where's Stefon Diggs. Adam Thielen's going to get those questions. Mike Zimmer's going to continue to get those questions. And that's not fair to everyone else in that locker room and in that building, because they're not the ones that have gone AWOL. They're the ones that are there trying to do their job, but because the focus is going to be always on the guy that's not there.
And the guy that's the group of guys that I think that I feel the sorriest for at this point, if that is the right word, it might not be, but I guess I feel a bit of empathy for, Danny, are the defensive players, because these guys just gave up 16 points in Chicago, which is just absolutely fine, right? They got off to a bad start in the Green Bay game, but ultimately gave up 14, and then with a short field gave up another touchdown, 21, but that was it to the Packers. So they are right now, the Vikings, 6th in scoring defense. That's certainly not bad.
No.
And if you're those guys and you're looking at these offensive players and saying, get your act together, because here's if I'm the Vikings, if I'm a defensive player, here's my frustration. And this has been true of this offense now for a few years. Cousins signing because he's paid so much makes it feel different, but it's not. I just need you to do your job. I don't need you to go out there and be Pro Bowl players. I don't need you to be off the charts unbelievable. Just score some bleeping points. Just do your job. And I understand that when you're at US Bank Stadium playing the Falcons or Raiders, that because of Dalvin Cook, you're going to do that. But honest to God, you would think like this is a diva move by Diggs, right?
Yeah.
The Cousins, the whole thing with him makes him look so bleeping oblivious off the field, not just on, but off as well. And if I am, I don't know, Harrison Smith, Linval Joseph, I'm going up to those guys and I'm saying, gentlemen, we're not asking that much. We are probably ultimately at the end of the year, if people don't get hurt, a top 5 scoring defense. We just gave up 16 points to a division foe. And I know we gave up a long drive to start that game, but 16 points basically means, hey, can you score a couple touchdowns and kick a field goal and we win? And so this is almost getting derailed by this weird dynamic of offensive players who ultimately are beginning to think that all you need them to do is score some points. It's really not like get 20 points a game. Is that asking that much?
No, it certainly shouldn't be. And if you want to jump in, you can tweet the show at Score North, at Jay Zulgad, at Real D Cunningham, or call us up at 651-646-8255 like Tyler did. What's up, Tyler?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Doing well.
Right.
How are you?
Pretty good. So on the Diggs thing, it is a little bit diva-ish, Judd. I kind of agree with that take, but I keep putting myself in Rick Spielman's shoes here. There's no way he can move on Diggs. Let's say Diggs does request a trade here. What is the course of action then for Rick Spielman? Because your season's torpedoed and you don't have a job after that, right? What is Rick Spielman's position here? What is his course of action? Let's say Diggs does request a trade.
Well, right now, unless I can get a great return, I probably don't do it. Now, and I don't even know salary cap wise if this would work, Tyler. The scenario that we threw out on Mecki and Judd with Rami yesterday was: would you consider trading for a 31-year-old, I believe, Trent Williams, the holdout left tackle from Washington, and sending Diggs? Now Washington's a complete mess, but Diggs is from Maryland. But if I'm Spielman, this has nothing to do with trading him. This is about the fact that my season and my players, and again, what frustrates me is this team is built on defense and the offense has turned into a pain in the ass. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, Kirk Cousins is dragging Thielen on his podcast. Okay, that's pathetic to start with. And now Diggs isn't showing up. And I've actually got a note from Andrew Kramer, who used to work for us, now at the Star Tribune, because Diggs did have a session with the media out there, TCO Performance Center. But I think right now, 4 games in, this has just become damage control with a group that I just want to shut up and score 20 points. I don't want that much from them. Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you, guys.
That's not too much to ask. And Diggs did have a media session. He said today, there's truth in all rumors. He's not denying the fact that he's frustrated. He said that he's sick and does not deny his frustrations. This quote from Stefon Diggs: "I've never been the guy to be me. Wanting to have team success is what I've pushed. The conversations I've had have been about the team. I love it here, but it's whether they want me here." That's what Stefon Diggs had to say today at his media availability. First time he's talked in over 2 weeks after going AWOL the past 3 days, really all week. This is the first time he's been at the facility. Right. So it has been a wild week there.
So is he saying that the frustration is true about his usage so far this year in 4 games, Danny? Is he trying to say that this is, in his mind now, a lifetime achievement award to Cousins? Because it's really 20 games. It's not 4 games. That's the thing, is we keep talking about this, like, how can this be going so wrong 4 games in? But basically, if you go to, I think if you draw a line after the Rams game, which they lost a year ago at the Coliseum, but that was, statistically a pretty good offensive performance by Cousins and his teammates. If you look after that, there's a lot of dreck there. So there's a long line potentially of things that guys like Thielen and Diggs could be saying, hold on a second, this is not 4 games. This is lots of games. But is Diggs being clear about, was he unhappy about something in the spring? Because it certainly looks that way now. And if so, what's wrong? Has he just decided, did he decide after, they went 8-7-1 in 2018 that he was fed up with the offense and Cousins? It's just, there's so many questions here. And again, I'll go back to what I said before, which is this unit's not supposed to be this important. Like, they're being asked to do a very specific thing, score some points, but they're also being told, all we want you to do is score some points because your defense is that good, which also leads me to believe that if I'm on the defense, I'm going to start going up to these guys and saying, shut up and do your job, or I'm going to beat you up.
Yeah, that's
seriously,
that's what it's going to come to in that locker room, because
I don't want to hear from you guys.
The defensive players have done enough to win. The defensive players should be 3-1. They should be 4-0. That's what that side of the ball deserves. It's the offense that's dragged this team down to the 2-2 record in the last place in the NFC North that they are right now. It's not because of the defense. The defense should be upset. They've got reason to be upset. The truth to all rumors thing is interesting because it's Stefon Diggs. he's not flat out saying he wants out. In fact, he said he loves it in Minnesota. But the truth to all rumors thing makes me feel like he does want out. Like he does want a trade. And he said that he hasn't requested a trade. Courtney Cronin said that she asked him directly whether or not he had requested a trade. He said no, and he wasn't aware of whether his agent had or not either. But that's troubling because this seems like a ticking time bomb. If this happened now, what happens if they go to New York and struggle? What happens if they struggle against Philadelphia? What happens in that primetime game when Washington comes to town and Kirk Cousins can't get it done because he can't play in primetime games? What happens after that?
And what does Diggs want here?
It sounds to me like a guy that wants out.
But they've morphed. Here's the problem. And by the way, okay, he's sick. That's the oldest trick in the book. Okay, let's get past that one. I don't want to hear one Vikings fan say, well, he said he was sick. He said he was sick because he's sick and tired of how he's being used. So he purposely stayed away up to the point where he knew he wouldn't cost himself a game check. He knows that by showing up on Thursday, they're going to play him on Sunday, right? So let's clear that up right now. I don't want to get confusion on Vikings fans' parts about it's fine now. It's not fine now. But I guess my question now becomes, if I am Rick Spielman, Mike Zimmer, Gary Kubiak, Kevin Stefanski, you sit him down and say, what do you want exactly here? Because the head coach made it very clear that we had an offensive coordinator who put Kirk in shotgun a lot. And now Kirk did throw during the course of last season, Danny, I think a lot of passes, short passes to his receivers that sort of qualified as run plays.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, he threw the ball. But the head coach fired that guy and then made it abundantly clear that Gary Kubiak was being brought here to run the football. The offensive line can't pass protect. When they are asked to, the quarterback sits there and pats the ball and waits way too long. So he's going to get himself sacked, fumbled, and or killed. All bad options. So is Stefon Diggs saying, if I don't get the ball, I'm not going to be happy at all? And that means if we win, because the Giants' run defense is not very good. There's a very good chance, I think, that Dalvin Cook will come here to MetLife Stadium on Sunday and run for 125 and 2 touchdowns, and the Vikings will win that football game. But does that mean that you're going to get on the plane to go home and Diggs is still like, I didn't get mine? To your point, more importantly, okay, let's say the next time you play a good team, like the Bears, good defensive team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Kirk melts down. I mean, he's going to melt down. The man's primetime record primetime record is terrible. He's 0-7 in Monday night games, which now, by the way, are like the worst games in the world. I don't know how you feel any pressure now in those games because they're absolute garbage. But the point being is, okay, so Kirk melts down in that game, and let's say Diggs is happy up until then. Does Diggs go back into the funk that he was after the Bears game? I don't understand when you sit him down, what is he going to say now that this is going? Because if he says, what's going to make me feel good is if I get the ball a lot. Okay, now you got to call Mike in and say, Mike, we got a problem here. What you wanted to do and what Dalvin Cook was doing is going to have to be rethought if we want to keep Stefon Diggs happy.
This doesn't necessarily seem to me, or it doesn't scream to me like Stefon Diggs just wants the ball more. I think Stefon Diggs truly does want to win. And I think Stefon Diggs is fed up with Kirk Cousins. That's what I lead this belief. And maybe that's a little reckless on my part in what I'm speculating his thoughts.
If you're going to do it, have Declan play that sounder. Man, I'd fire it right now. Reckless speculation.
We're going to get into that next. We're going to get into some reckless speculation. We are going to get into reckless speculation next, Judd, because it could be a number of different things that Stefon Diggs wants.
Exactly.
And we need to figure out what Stefon Diggs actually wants. I want to decipher what he is saying as truth and what is a half truth or just showing us where there's smoke, there's fire. But
Absolutely.
That's what I want to get into. The show's Vikings Vent Line, Score North on 1500, scorenorth.com, Judd Zulgad in New York City. Danny Cunningham here in the TCL broadcast studios, reminding you that Score North is your home for Twins postseason baseball. You'll be able to find all Twins playoff games on Score North on 1500, 6 o'clock pitch on Friday night and a 4 o'clock pitch on Saturday night. We'll have the games here. Post-game Score North Twins show live with your calls on AM 1500 and the Score North mobile app. We'll be back to try and figure out exactly what Stefon Diggs wants.